Last time out in Jeddah didn't quite go to plan for us at Mercedes, and the Constructors' Championship might just be starting to get away from us. But we can put that right today with a good result in Abu Dhabi. Hello folks, welcome to episode 80 of this career with Mercedes, and we're gearing up for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're off the back of a disappointing result last time out in Saudi Arabia. We weren't even on the podium for what was a very rare occasion this season. Monza, obviously we didn't finish the race with either car. I think that's the only other time we haven't been on the podium. Yep. Literally the second time that we've not been on the podium. Monza, we wouldn't have been on the podium anyway on pure merit, but we had the speed to be there. We just didn't execute our strategy correctly. But Saudi Arabia, we genuinely didn't have the pace. That was partially because the setups were terrible, at least for George Russell. So he didn't lose too many points because he finished in P4 to Max Verstappen, who finished in third, I believe, if I remember correctly. So the gap at the top of the championship is still a relatively healthy 63 points. It's in the constructors, like I said in the intro, that we've got a bit of an issue. Red Bull starting to get away. They scored more than double the amount of points that we did last time out. So we need to make sure we have at least one car ahead of them, ideally both today. But it's going to be tricky. I've also stopped looking at the car analysis here in terms of the ranking because I feel like it spoils it. So at least this time, at least we're going into it together in the complete unknown. So that makes it a little bit more chaotic and we're not quite sure what we're going to get. So I'm going to go to practice and get the cars set up perfectly for qualifying. And then I'll see you ready for some hot laps around Abu Dhabi. Not good news for Oscar Piastri. He is 13th in Q2 and out of qualifying. A little bit of traffic, I think, on his final run, but yeah, we're not quite on the pace again. I'll be honest, we're not developing the car at all. We've made our bed and we're laying in it because we have the lead with George Russell in the championship, in the Drivers' Championship at least. And yeah, maybe we need to put some more bits and pieces on this car, although we are heavily researching for Season 5. It's just one silver star into Q3 then. We'll go on a set of used tyres to begin with. Oscar was going to start at the back anyway, and I can't show you this at the moment, although actually you can see on the right hand side he's got a new ERS unit in, so he'll probably start at the back of the grid anyway. Let's see what we can deliver with George Russell then in Q3.
Currently P1.
Well, so far we are P1 with George Russell, but I think the Red Bulls are on laps and Max Verstappen is absolutely flying right now. He's about to go to the top of the times. We're all using a used set of tyres. Sainz goes quicker than us in the McLaren, and Verstappen puts half a second on his former teammate. But we've got a fresh tyre run to come. Gasly sneaks into third. And Lando Norris is only fifth. Charles Leclerc hasn't started his lap yet. But we'll go and put some new tyres on and see what we can do with our final run. We've gone a bit early with our final run. We followed Charles Leclerc out of the pit lane. There is the Monegasque, and hopefully we'll miss most of the traffic. Although there's Tsunoda, Norris and Verstappen all just down the road, which is hardly ideal. Let's see what we're doing against Leclerc. Leclerc not improving his first lap. Look at the way they're weaving across the circuit. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we've made an improvement first sector. Hopefully we pick up a bit of a toe middle sector. What does George Russell do? A personal best. Obviously we're on fresh tyres. But is it going to be enough to even beat Gasly or Sainz? Let's wait and see. Here we go. Final corner for George Russell in qualifying. He goes third fastest. 4.5 tenths off Max Verstappen's pole position time.
Yeah, we're happy with that.
And everybody else still needs to go again. Leclerc hasn't bumped his teammate off the top spot, so it looks like That's going to belong to Verstappen. Let's see how this all shakes out. We could actually get in the way of a few people here. Hopefully, well, you won't get penalties in this game. It just doesn't seem to be there. But let's see. Here comes Verstappen. He'll be probably on pole position. Doesn't improve. Norris doesn't improve. What about Sainz? Is he on a lap? Yes, but he's not going faster. So I think we've got P3. We have indeed. That's all right. That's a bit of a save, to be honest. That'll do. Half second off pole, though. I mean, just ridiculous. As long as we just keep finishing in and around the Red Bulls, George will be world champion. But we do need to get Oscar Piastri forward in this race to maximise our Constructors' Championship points, because otherwise Red Bull are going to nick it from us, and I don't really want that. Going a bit bold with the strategy today. We're going soft, hard, soft with George Russell in the hopes of undercutting everybody, then being out on hards for a long time, and then having better tyres at the end. We've got 2 fresh sets of softs to use with him. With Oscar, this is where the crazy stuff is happening. 3-stop strategy. We need to get him forward. I want him to be pushing basically all the time. We're going soft, 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 medium, as you can see. So we'll see how it pans out. There is potential for safety cars and red flags around Abu Dhabi. We've seen it before. So fingers crossed that we get 1 or 2 of those and that they fall at the right time. We can go on to some fresh tyres. I mean, he's got hards to use as well, so we can always utilise those if the strategy changes on the fly. But I think we need to be prepared to be flexible at Mercedes and not box ourselves into too much, he says, having thoroughly thought out these strategies beforehand. Right, let's get down to the grid and do a motor race. It's an all Red Bull front row and we're waiting for 5 red lights. They're already out. The lights are out, the race is on. That was not a long hold at all. George Russell immediately moving into 2nd position. There's Leclerc on mediums, getting up the inside of us. But I think George is going to hang on to this position. We jump off board. I think we're all right. There we go. Just pulling clear. Please don't hit us, Leclerc. He's sending it on the brakes. And Charles Leclerc has the position, which is very annoying. But down this back straight, let's see what George can achieve. Piastri still 18th. He had a 10-place grid penalty, but Pocher and Behrman also had grid drops too. Leclerc's held on to the position. The Red Bull very quick, it would seem, in a straight line. That does not bode well for the rest of this race. DRS is now active and George Russell will be getting some off the back of Charles Leclerc, but he's not actually close enough right now to do anything with it. He's closed up in the braking zone. Oscar Piastri has made his first bit of progress. He passed Nick de Vries on the previous lap and is now chasing after the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. We've got him driving in clean air, so hopefully constant DRS will help him. And it looks like Leclerc is closing down Verstappen and bringing George with him. Lando might be coming too, so this could be about to get fun. Although, yes, that final sector, and George has just dropped outside of 1 second, so that's put paid to any hopes of us going with Leclerc. We've got no pace again. George Russell's fallen behind Lando Norris and is now actually defending from Carlos Sainz. We did need to try and cool the tyres down, but we've just got no pace. Norris came past and has now cleared off by the look of things, 1.2 seconds ahead. Piastri's just making a move on Vesti. He's got some ERS he could use. But at the front, George just doesn't have the raw pace. Look at that, we are a second slower than Verstappen, 2 tenths behind Leclerc, 4 tenths off of Lando Norris's time. We might need to put some more bits and pieces on this car for the here and now, not just thinking about next season. But I think also starting on the soft tyres might not have been a good idea. The track is quite warm, the tyres are going to get very hot. But right now our pace is not hot. Our pace is very not good. Well, there we go. We have made the move on Lando Norris, but it's come at a cost. We have had to destroy our tyres to do it. There we go. DRS round the outside of the Ferrari. But our tyres are very hot. And look at this wear chart. I mean, we might be able to bring it back. Piastri now up to P13, but out of battery. His tyre wear is probably about where we predicted it. Yeah, it is. Could we convert George to a 3-stop? I've no idea if that's even sensible. But we're doing it with Oscar just because he's coming through from the back. But doing it with George, that might not be smart. I don't know. It might be worth the risk. Right, I'm making the decision to switch George to a 3-stop. We're going to box him for a set of mediums this lap. We're going to push on them, then we're going to go to hards, push on them. We're going to go to the final set of softs and push on them as well. I don't really want to be sitting here just sort of going through the motions with the strategy and hoping. I want to be trying to force the issue. If we finish 4th or 5th because of it, so be it. But I'd rather do that than finish probably 4th or 5th anyway, having not tried something. So let's call George into the pit lane this lap. Hopefully we get a good pit stop. We're nearly 2 seconds behind Lando Norris, who's looked after his tyres a lot better than we have. Oscar Piastri's tyres are basically done as well. So we're going to need to bring him in now a lap earlier than planned. In fact, Gasly has followed us in. That's interesting. What's he going to? Oh, we've been held. Why? Why? Why is that a thing? Honestly. This is just all falling apart. No, pit crew, that was so not right. So George has started making some progress, but there you can see Pierre Gasly just flashing through the bottom of the screen. He's made a couple of places already. That's the difference it's made. We could have been P12 and starting our assault on the top 10 very soon, but I mean, we still might, but we're just coming from a lower starting position. Piastri is still 20th, but he is rapidly catching Nick De Vries, who is last. If you remember back a couple of episodes, I did try to remove him, but the game wasn't having any of it. It would just crash after that one. So he's still here. Hopefully when we go to move him again, it won't happen. So with Oscar, I'm going to push on the engine and let's see what progress we can make. Lando Norris into the pit lane and is coming out of it again and is way ahead of us. This hasn't worked. This really hasn't worked. Low speed cornering is important here, but we're not very good at that. So maybe it's just one of those circuits where we take our medicine and we move on to another circuit like Canada, which is next up, where it could suit our car a bit more. So Oscar Piastri exiting the pit lane. He did box from P8. He comes out in P17. So let's deploy. We have called George Russell in this lap as well. So he's on his way to the pit lane. He should drop out maybe 12th or 11th, I'm guessing. Let's wait and see. Here he comes then to the pit lane for the second time. We're doing all the pit stops today. We're using all the tyres. 2.5 seconds. Well, there you go. Practice makes perfect, as they say. Where's George Russell going to filter back out? Under the track he goes. Actually, it's better than expected. P9. That's not bad at all. So Lando Norris in the lead of this race on a set of mediums. He will need to stop again at some point soon. Gasly, I'm sure, will get an undercut on now, especially if we deploy. So I think this might be starting to work out in our favour. Yes, we have another stop to make, but please, oh please, let there be a well-timed safety car, because we really need it. Well, there is a virtual safety car. I don't know if it's a good time for us. It's probably not. What's happened? Who's crashed? There's a sparking AlphaTauri and Liam Lawson's involved. Oh dear. Oh, that's a massive crash. Oh dear, oh dear. Honestly, I'm not sure how that's not a red flag. I don't know about you, but just a virtual safety car for that? Interestingly, the Ferraris have taken this opportunity to pit, although Lando Norris has had a slow stop. Does that mean we get ahead of Gasly? No, it doesn't. So this hasn't worked for us. What have they put on? Hards to the end. Interesting. So we're going to be pushing. We're going to stop again. This, right now, it's not helpful. In 15 laps time, it could be really useful for us. I was asked a question after the Bahrain episode. What would I do with Oscar Piastri if it means he costs us, or if he ends up costing us the Constructors' Championship? Would I fire him? My plan isn't to fire him, but never say never, as they say in the world. And F1, we've seen contracts be ripped up for less than what Piastri is doing for us at the moment. And I mean, I'm not unhappy with his work. We knew it would be difficult having him in the team. I don't say difficult having him in the team, but there would be a bit of a transition while he got up to speed. His overall rating isn't particularly good considering what he truly can do in real life in the game. But he is about to make an overtake on Théo Pourchaire, and he blasts by with the help of DRS. So we'll see where we are at in a few races' time with Oscar. But with George Russell, he's got a World Championship to secure.
So we are low on battery
And
at the moment.
a few more points than 4 would do. We have got another virtual safety car. We've been really pushing with George Russell.
Is he alright?
Who's gone out? It's Sonoda, who we've just recently overtaken. This probably doesn't help George again, because he's still quite a few laps out from
top of the delta.
stopping.
Yep.
This is very frustrating, but Oscar, we might be able to actually bring him in for the mediums. Where is he? He's just missed the pit lane. That's annoying. The timing of the virtual safety cars hasn't helped us. It's given everybody else an opportunity to stop for fresh tyres. Oscar is on the tail of Alex Albon and is now on the nose of Alex Albon because he's gone past him. Lovely jubbly. Although tyre-wise, softs against old hards, we could be significantly faster in the final few laps of this race. I'm going to go to lap 45 and then I'm going to bring George in. Lap 45 and George Russell's heading for the pit lane. He's got past Carlos Sainz, so he's in P5 as he heads to the box. Oscar Piastri is now in P10, so let's see how close together our two drivers are. By the look of it, not really that close. We might actually be out in front of Drugovich, which would be fantastic. It's going to be a little bit tight. It's not as tight as I thought it might be. That's good news. So we've still got 16 seconds-ish to make up to, well, 15 seconds really, to Carlos Sainz. But Ocon, who is on a set of softs, has been going very fast. He's got the fastest lap. He just did a 25.3. So if that's anything to go by, we could be pretty quick towards the end of this race. We are, though, 40 seconds behind the race leaders. So, yeah, this probably hasn't worked. Oscar Piastri has made his way deeper into the top 10. He's just moved past Felipe Drugovich on the outside into the chicane in the middle of the two straights. And that is a very nice and tidy move from the young Australian. Good job. He's now into 8th place. He's just behind it. Well, I say just behind. He's 14.5 seconds behind his teammate, who is closing in on Carlos Sainz. And I suppose the bigger picture is Russell actually just passes Carlos Sainz. We're going to have to watch this again on the old replays. But in the championship perspective, every point counts right now for George, even though he's got a massive lead. With Verstappen winning races again, we need to make sure we're picking up regular podiums and the odd race win from here on out to the end of the season. From after this race, it's all in the Americas and we've just done the fastest lap. So that's an extra point that Verstappen won't get as long as he doesn't go and do a fastest lap. So, yeah, what are we? That would be 8 points, 9 points versus Verstappen's 25. So it's a swing of 14 points, 16 points. If I can get my maths correct. We could still catch Ocon. So it could be 5th place. Maybe even 4th if we're really fortunate. But I doubt it. Even catching Ocon might be a struggle. But let's see what happens. We're approaching the penultimate lap. And George Russell is about to get some DRS against Esteban Ocon, which could bring him a crucial fifth position, if I can get my words out, on this Friday afternoon that I'm recording this on, as Charles Leclerc snatches back P2 from Lando Norris. Honestly, wouldn't mind a collision between those two that sees them fall down the order. George Russell dives to the inside. That's a vital move. He wasn't on aggressive or high aggression overtakes, but that's very, very useful. Ocon doesn't have the speed to come back at us there. Oscar Piastri is just stroking it home to P8, which from 18th on the grid is a good recovery with a 3-stop mega strategy. But George, P5 is the best we're going to get. Honestly, even on the 2-stop, I think we'd have ended up P5. So it's not really changed our outcome. We've just taken a different route in getting there. So let's move to the end of the race. Max Verstappen's going to take the victory, which is annoying because we lose even more points in the Constructors' Championship. So not a good weekend once more for Mercedes. George Russell crosses the line in 5th place with the fastest lap, importantly, so he gets 11 points. Verstappen only takes 14 out of his championship lead, so it comes down to 49 points, which is still a very healthy margin. George would still need to fail to finish 2 races from here on out to the end of the season to give Verstappen the lead. But if we're finishing 5th to Verstappen's 1st,
P8.
it won't be long before Verstappen's there, and we're under a serious amount of pressure if we aren't already. So there's the top 10. George Russell down 2 places from his P3 grid spot. The Ferraris had good race pace, although annoyingly Gasly, once he got ahead, he stayed ahead after jumping us in the pit stops. Good race for McLaren today. They got some handy points. Let's see how it plays out in the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen closes the gap. Lando Norris is cementing his 3rd place in the championship as well. Piastri not close enough to Gasly to be bothersome, but not bothered by Tsunoda behind, who's having a quietly good season, is Yuki actually. Overall 87. Maybe we should have signed him. Maybe we should have signed him. Or even Lance Stroll. He's overall 88. Maybe one of these two. Anyway, Constructors' Championship, we've lost, wow, 25 points to Red Bull. And we are now way behind. I think we might be closer to Ferrari than we are to Red Bull. I'm not sure. I can't do the mental maths quick enough. But these 3 teams have just hogged all the top points. McLaren and Aston Martin and AlphaTauri are squabbling over P4, but none of them are in triple digits yet. But we need to make sure that we're getting double-digit point scores with both cars from here to the rest of the season, because Red Bull are seriously fast right now, and this championship could soon get away from us. Well, if you enjoyed that episode, make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on the video for me. Make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the next race, which is going to be the Canadian Grand Prix. Join the Discord down in the description below. I'll see you for the Canadian Grand Prix. You're the best fans. Bye for now.